We are talking about an invitation. Permitted to begin to receive signals from that realm, and on the strength of that signal you begin to walk according to what was written before you were born. Because before you came here, you were not just thrown into this realm. Before you came here, there was a thesis that was written about you, how you should walk, how you should live, and everything you should do is already captured in that wisdom. You are not permitted to be creative as touching matters of ordination, because before you took your first breath, everything you should do was written. But you will have to appear in order to read those writings and find out how to live on the earth. And so when Jeremiah was summoned, he said, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. And I didn't just know you, I ordained you to be a prophet. In case you want to follow your father because you love your father and you are being inspired by your father's life, you were not called to live like any man. There was a scroll written concerning you. When you are invited up, that scroll is read to you. And until you hear those sounds, your life on earth will be inaccurate. And so the first realm you enter in light is the realm of the appearing, where matters of ordination are discussed. But I can assure you that 90% of the persons walking on the earth, they don't know why they were born. And if you don't know why you were born, somebody else will give you a purpose. And so many persons are living what others gave to them. Hope you know men have programs, but God has an ultimate program. Your program must come from the realm of God, not from the program of man. Because civil service also has a program. A man who is running a ministry has a program. But if you have not heard from Zion, you can adopt the program of civil service. Because some people are in Kano because the government sent them here. It is not consistent with the writings of heaven. That means they started working for a secular organization before they started working for the Spirit of God. And so a retreat like this is designed to help you look Godward and find out what was written concerning you. Because Jesus at the age of 12 knew what was written concerning him. And so if a Jesus were to go to school, he will not go to school because of the job that is lucrative. He will go to school because of what was written concerning him. I was telling my friend the other day, I said, if I knew, why would I have suffered myself with lab coat for more than 12 years? If I knew what was written concerning me like Jesus at the age of 12, I wouldn't have read the things I read. I would have read something else that would have added value to my ordination. But unfortunately, those who trained me, they didn't train me with light. They trained me with morality and they trained me with secular knowledge. And I grew up almost having a degree before I knew that there was another syllabus. There was a scroll that had something to do not just with well living or good living. There was a scroll that had something to do with what was written concerning me before I was born. This is what the conversation Jesus had with a man who was already an aged man functioning among the Sanhedrin. He looked at the man and he asked him a question and the man couldn't answer. And he said, you mean you are a teacher in Israel and you don't know the answer to this question? Where have you been? He has been on earth. He has not appeared in light. Meanwhile, the guy came as a Pharisee. He came as a member of the Sanhedrin. Came to probe Jesus. He wanted to talk to Jesus like a fellow intellectual, because he heard Jesus teach and he assumed that, okay, the way this man is talking, maybe he should be able to talk to us. Because in that world, what they do is when you begin to emerge, they will come to you and find out, by whose authority are you doing what you are doing? Because we are the custodian of knowledge. We have the right to validate and to certify people. And so when he saw Jesus, he came to him and began to speak with him, thinking he would validate Jesus' ministry. And Jesus looked at him and said, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. And the man said, what do you mean by born again? This is an ancient knowledge. How come I've never heard of this? Born again, how can I go back to my mother's womb? And Jesus looked at him and said, you mean you are a teacher? You are a rabbi? You are a doctor of the law and you don't know this? When you study only earthly syllabus, your age is a waste. Apostle Anthony Joshua, come and sit here. That's my brother. Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah, hey, the sign that you have appeared is the fact that matters of ordination are unveiled to you, because that is the syllabus that is taught in the realm of appearance. And when matters of ordination are open to you, everything you do becomes a platform of giving expression to ordination. You should know your ordination before you take a job. If you know your ordination, your job becomes a platform for giving expression to ordination. You should know your ordination before you enter a business. And so many persons are learning the most important subject late in life. And so they've gone far in natural knowledge before they are introduced into spiritual knowledge. And so the first realm a man enters, if he must have relevance, and when I speak relevance, I'm not talking popularity, I'm talking relevance such as Paul had, when at the end of his life, he said, I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. There remained for me a crown of life. This one is not a retirement benefit that is regulated by government. This one is a throne that a man ascends, because while he was journeying, that throne was his focus. That when it comes to the end of his sojourn on the face of the earth, he will add up and line up with princes in the realms of Zion. That kind of knowledge is a knowledge that comes to you because of a disclosure and an invitation into a realm. And so the first thing we must understand in a retreat of this magnitude is, how do I get a summon? How do I get invited into that realm where ordinations are recited? Because no matter how intelligent you are, you cannot break through the veil of eternity and hear voices that echo from Zion. It is not intelligence that affords that. It is the summons of ordination that brings you into that kind of reality. And so the first thing a man needs to understand is how to walk through life in order for the realm to open for him. How do you journey through life for the vision of scripture that was a reference on time as well? For you to be relevant, a day will have to come where you are spoken to from Zion. From Genesis to Revelation, we saw concerning Adam, he said in the cool of the day, the voice of God came walking in the garden. Adam had authority over the earth realm, but for him to fulfill purpose, the disclosure must happen. There must be an interaction with Zion, the yonder, to educate him how to connect to that realm in order to dominate this realm. And we saw that there was a season of darkness on the face of the earth, until a man called Abraham in Genesis chapter 12 also heard an echo from Zion, and he said, get thee out of thy country, get thee out of thy kindred, get thee out of thy father's house. Abraham was a wealthy man. He was one of the princes in the realms of the Chaldees, but even though he was mighty in the natural realm, he had no stature in the realm of God. And so God told him, these things you have and you are priding yourself with is a distraction. For you to come to that realm, get out of your country, get out of your kindred, get out of your father's house, because a voice from that realm is superior to all your natural assets. And so every man that the Bible centered civilization around had access to that realm, because life begins when you begin to perceive the voice of the king that sits upon that eternal throne. If you have not heard him, you survived, but you never existed. If you have not heard him, you passed through the realm, but you have no relevance. And in the last day, when princes are summoned, make no mistakes about it, you will not be called. Because they don't call men because they were born. They call men because they appeared. Abraham appeared. Paul the apostle appeared. Peter appeared. All the prophets of old appeared. They appeared there, and they had a place there before they began to speak on it. And so the first realm of authority, the first realm of relevance, is the realm where ordinations are read to you. If you have not come to that point where you know, like you know your name, the reason you were born, not because somebody gave you a purpose, but because it was spoken to you from Zion. You have not begun to exist, and your life will not have so much mark when earth is rolled away, because a day will come when the elements of this world will melt. A day every one of us will be summoned back to the realm of our nativity, because we came here as ambassadors from Zion, and for us to survive here and to live accurately, we must hear echoes from Zion. But I can assure you, many persons have already taken up the identity the world gave them, and they've not heard the echoes of Zion. May you not pick a name or an identity that does not come from Zion. The second realm you enter is the realm of authority. The first thing that happens is your ordination is revealed to you. That's what we call the appearing. That's what we call the summon. But the second thing that will happen is you now begin to contend for authority. That's where you speak about the right of sons. Because what sons are interested in is to stand with their God when laws are passed, so that they can also cooperate with him to advance his kingdom. But it will take authority for that to happen. And so when you appear, you journey from appearing into contention in that realm for your own birthright. And so the things you inherit in that realm are the things that give you power. You know, we are on earth pursuing cars. Somebody works for 35 years to have money to buy land and build a house. A house that becomes desolate even before he leaves. Now, before you started working, the people who built houses before you, they have become desolate. Have you seen some of the houses that were built in Kano 50 years ago? If they give you for free, you won't take it. Even if you take it, you want to demolish it and use the land, because the house is irrelevant. But somebody is living for 35 years because he wants to retire to build a house. What a wasted existence. If you find ordination, you will build that house, but it will be a byproduct. And so the second realm is the realm of authority. And in the realm of authority, princes fight for spiritual realities. And some of the things men inherit in Zion that give them authority, they are not the things you give value to in the natural realm. There are 6 things that a man possesses in Zion that gives him authority. The first is knowledge. And that's why the first thing God put in the Garden of Eden to give man relevance was the tree of life. Because knowledge in the spirit is not information, it's life. In John 17 verse 3, he said that you may know him, the only true God, and him that he has sent. He said, for this is life eternal. And so when a man comes into that realm, the quality of his life is altered. He was functioning by biological life, but now there is another kind of life that makes him enter the God class. That life is the Zoe life, and that life comes to you when you begin to apprehend the knowledge of God. He said, except the man be born again, the life you have is mundane. This life, you will compete with the princes in the dark, and you will compete with men on earth. But there's a kind of life you operate in that brings you into the God class. That life comes through knowledge, and that knowledge is not on the street. That knowledge is hidden. That's why I said we speak truth amongst them that have powers. There's a knowledge you have that cancer will melt when you appear. There's a knowledge you have that you can give direction to the destiny of people. There's a knowledge you have that even the constellation can respond to you. Because once upon a time, a man called Joshua stood and he said, let the sun remain upon the mountains of Ajalon. How did the moon hear? That is the same knowledge David had. And David stood and said, cursed be the mountains of Gibeah. How did you stand in the day that the princes fell? Who told you that mountains can be cursed? Who told you that mountains are expected to fight? There's a knowledge that a woman called Deborah had, that in the days of battle, angels were throwing stones and were fighting with mortals. She knew how to come into a league with immortal spirit, that when she go to war, she will go to war mobilizing angels to fight, and angels were fighting physically. What kind of knowledge is that? That is what sons pursue. That's why Jesus said, ask, you shall receive. Seek, you shall find. Knock, the door shall be open. There are things that are hidden on the other side of the veil, and a man who has understanding will not rest until he lays hold on those knowledge. And when you carry it, you will know you have it. When you have that kind of knowledge, even your voice become law to a generation. That's why a man with certain kinds of knowledge will speak, and his voice will become an echo, an instruction, and a law over his generation. It's not about how sound, it's about how deep. He has fought for what gives princes authority. He has a knowledge. That knowledge decorates you because it brings you another kind of life. The second thing you possess in that realm is glory. You will think we wear clothes. Hey, it's natural men that wear clothes. Prince